less than 1 month away until PJ Washington is eligible to sign a 4-year extension here with the Dallas Mavericks. So on today's show, we're going to talk about everything surrounding that potential extension, what it could mean for the Mavericks. Is it a possibility that the Mavericks let PJ Washington walk in free agency next summer without signing that deal? We're going to discuss all of that here on today's show. Welcome into Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. Jeffrey Cooperstein with you guys. To get us started here on today's show, I want to ask you simply, should the Mavericks give PJ Washington an extension when he is eligible? Type E if you think they should, or type W if you think they should wait a little bit longer. PJ Washington for the Mavericks has been absolutely fantastic in his year and a half in Dallas and 86 games played. He was a big reason why the Mavericks were able to make the 2024 NBA Finals. He is what we call the OKC Thunder killer here in Dallas, and he always plays his best basketball against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And when the lights are bright, Washington certainly is not afraid. He's become a cult hero, a fan favorite here in Dallas, and I can't say enough good things about PJ Washington here in his time in Dallas. He's been fantastic. I have really nothing bad to say about him other than he was kind of tried to fight the fans after the Luka trade and kind of told them to, move on and this and that. But besides that, I think PJ has been wonderful for this franchise. A guy who grew up in Frisco, went to high school in DFW, realizing his dreams to be a Dallas Maverick. He's been wonderful for this team, and I'm absolutely open to extending him. Now, the question is, do you want to extend him for 4 years and that max of almost $90 million? The Mavericks are very, very deep at wing, and this is one of their deepest positions, in my opinion. You have Cooper Flagg, who they just took number 1 overall, alongside the veterans in PJ Washington, Naji Marshall, and Caleb Martin. And then you still have Olivier Maxence-Prosper on the roster. Now, that could change by the start of the 25-26 NBA season. I could see Prosper potentially being traded to open up a roster spot because, as we've talked about repeatedly here on the show, the Mavericks currently have 16 guaranteed contracts, and you can only go into the season with 15. So keep your eye on Olivier Maxence-Prosper to be a potential trade target, but they really do have an embarrassment of riches at wing. And if you consider Klay Thompson in that wing room, which I really don't because I consider Klay more of a 2, even though he does play some 3, they really have a lot of options there, especially if you add in Cooper Flagg alongside Washington and Marshall. Then you add Caleb Martin. You really have 5 guys who can play the 2 and the 3, even some of the 4 as well. And this is what the Mavericks set out to do, is they set out to be a versatile athletic team with a bunch of wings out there. And PJ Washington is the quintessential versatile wing who can shoot it pretty well, who can defend the opposing team's best wing, and who gives you a lot of energy. And he's a fan favorite here in Dallas for a reason, because he always brings it every single night. Hopefully he can stay healthy this season. He was limited to just 57 games last year, dealt with some knee stuff, dealt with some ankle stuff. So hopefully he can provide the Mavericks a full healthy season. But I really hope that he's able to come out swinging here in the 25-26 NBA season, which is such an important year for the Dallas Mavericks after missing the playoffs last year. You hope they can really have a bounce back, and if they do, it's because PJ stayed healthy and put up numbers that we've come accustomed to here in the 80-plus games he has played here in Dallas. But I'll say this as well. If you don't want to give him that 4-year max, you can't lose him for nothing. So does that open up the possibility of a PJ Washington trade? I do think if the Mavericks don't come to an agreement with Washington on an extension and he goes into this season on the last year of his deal, I certainly think it's possible that the Mavs try to move PJ for something else that they may deem a better asset, whether it be a younger guy under contract or whether it be a bigger need on this squad. So keep an eye on that as well. I think all options are open regarding PJ and the Mavs, but I would be pretty surprised if they did not come to some sort of agreement on an extension on that August 29th date when he becomes eligible. I just don't know if it's that 4-year, $89 million max. Be the GM for me down in the comments section. How much money would you give PJ Washington? Are you giving him that 4-year, $89 million at 22 plus million bucks a season? Are you giving him a shorter term deal to try to align with the other superstars, which I think is probably the best idea, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. But let me know how much money you want to give PJ Washington. And while you are down there, please go get hooked up with our friends over at Fanatics Today. We still have these draft hats available when you go to chatsports.com/MavsDraft. And the best part about these dope hats, I really love the design, by the way, the white with the blue brim and the all blue as well. They don't say draft anywhere on it. So you can absolutely wear this as a normal Mavericks hat. If you head to chatsports.com/Mavs draft, Fanatics will send us a part of the proceeds as well. So you're supporting Mavericks today while getting yourself a dope hat to get geared up for the new season. Chatsports.com/Mavs draft. That link will be in the comments and description of today's show. We appreciate Fanatics for sponsoring this episode of Mavericks Today. Go get your hat before they run out. All right, so as I sort of alluded to, a 4-year extension for PJ Washington really doesn't fit this timeline here for the Mavericks because we all know that they're trying to win in these next 2 or 3 seasons. And when you look at the veterans under contract on this squad, that kind of adds up, right? You have Klay Thompson under contract for the next 2 seasons, as the same goes for Naji Marshall. You have Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving if he opts into that player option for the final year. Kyrie and AD are under contract through 2028, and then you just signed Daniel Gafford to that 3-year extension on top of this year, so he will be a free agent in 2029. And I would assume that you'd want to fit PJ Washington in this kind of bracket somewhere between 27 and 29. If you gave him a 4-year deal, he would become a free agent at the end of the 2030 season, and God knows where the Mavericks are going to be by then. Hopefully Cooper Flagg has his rookie Supermax extension by then, but who knows what this team's going to look like? Who knows what the trajectory of the franchise is going to be by then? So if it were me, I think I'm giving PJ a 2-year extension, which means he would be under contract through 2028, including this season. You tack 2 more years onto that, and you can give him that $22 million per season if he's willing to accept that. Now, if he's not willing to accept that, I would go 3 years. Am I giving him a 4-year max though, worth almost $89 million or worth $89 million bucks? I don't know if I'm going to do that. I just don't know if that makes sense for the Mavericks when you look at the franchise trajectory, like I said, and when you think the likes of Kyrie, Anthony Davis, Klay Thompson, those guys will not be on the roster by then. So at that point, does PJ fit what the Mavs are trying to do as a franchise? That certainly remains to be seen. But if it were me, it would be a 2-year extension. That would make the most sense, in my opinion. And we'll see on August 29th and maybe into the season what the Mavericks decide to do with PJ Washington. And of course, if they make a move, we will have you covered right here on the channel. So hit that subscribe button at youtube.com/MavsTV. If Washington signs, we will have a video for you immediately right here on the channel. So keep us locked in, because when the Mavs make a move, you know where to find it. Couple of news and notes here. The Mavericks officially announced that they will be holding training camp in Vancouver. There's going to be an exhibition game in Vancouver as well, but the Mavericks aren't playing in that. So they're going to go up to the Pacific Northwest in Canada for about a week and spend some time up there. It's a beautiful city, Vancouver is, and they've had an NBA team there before in the Grizzlies, so there is a basketball footprint there, and they're trying to expand that with the Mavericks holding training camp there, and they're having a preseason game there as well. So the Mavs will spend the first part of the preseason there before they come home, where they're going to play 2 games, one at Dickies Arena out in Fort Worth, that one against the defending NBA champion Oklahoma City Thunder, and then they're going to play at home against the Charlotte Hornets at the American Airlines Center before they head out west to take on the Utah Jazz and the Los Angeles Lakers in Las Vegas. So that is your Dallas Mavericks preseason schedule. Just 4 games out there on the schedule, plus a week of training camp. You see that final game on October 15th versus LA, which makes me think that the start of the 25-26 NBA season will probably be a week or so after that. We should get some news on the Mavericks' regular season schedule coming out, and I would say the next couple of weeks usually comes out right around August 15th or so as we sit here on July 30th. So be on the lookout for that when all 82 games are officially released. We'll, of course, break down the most important games and the key dates and all of that right here on the channel. And that's why you hit that subscribe button, because when Mavs news happens, we break it down right here on the channel. We'll see you guys soon.